cloud. There we go. Welcome, everyone. And even though it's a small group of us, I would really like to start off as we usually do. I think it's a good blessing and acknowledgement. And I will share my screen and ask if someone, do you see the acknowledgement? Is that in front of you now? I hope that we
The
acknowledge.
NAICS codes.
No, that's so boring.
Yes.
You guys don't want to read that. That's no way to open up a meeting.
I wondered why it was up there.
But Ken, if you want to talk about that later, we should figure that out. Anyways, sorry. I am Phoebe Morad. Welcome to this space with Lutherans Restoring Creation as a network. And I would love to offer anybody that might want to unmute. Wendy, I see you're unmuted already. If you don't mind, would you mind opening us up with this acknowledgement if you can see it well?
I would be happy to.
Thank you.
Thanks. As we live, work, and worship in the land that is now called the United States, Lutherans Restoring Creation recognizes that we do so on land that was stolen from Indigenous peoples. As we are called to restore creation, we are also called to restore right relationship with one another. As we join in this holy vocation of loving our neighbor, we honor all our Indigenous siblings who have been companions of the lands, waters, and beings of Turtle Island since time immemorial. We charge our community to learn about the original and continuous stewards of the land upon which we exist. We lament legacies of violence, cultural genocide, and displacement of Indigenous communities, committing ourselves to hearing and speaking the truth of that history and its ongoing effects. May we gather faithfully in mind, body, and spirit so that we may mend what has been broken and embody Christ's gospel of abundant life.
Thank you so much. And if you do, if you can take a moment in the chat while we're opening up in this space and write in where you're zooming in from, and if you know the land, the original earth keepers of the land on where you're flourishing now, let me give you the link to so that you know how to look that up. I will get that in a moment. I can't do too many things at once. Not multitasking. What I did want to start off with, because I am grateful that it's a small group of us, I would love to hear from anyone who feels so called to just maybe say maybe a sentence or two if you were at our Multiply event with what is still reverberating with you. If anything, it's okay if you've lost that loving feeling, but that's I am curious for those that were able to join together. I think those who weren't able to join would like to hear a little bit about what's still, not what happened, but what it did to you a little bit. If anyone who was there that was just 3 weeks ago, would like to share a sentence or two about what you got out of it. Kathy.
I can. So a couple of things. I certainly learned a lot of new things that I've been spouting off to other people in small doses so they don't get that glazed eye look. And just the community of being around people who actually care about this and are actively engaged in doing things about this. It was really energizing for me.
Phew. Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else?
I felt like it was really exciting and empowering to hear all the stories. Like share the night we had the share fair, where everyone was talking about the different things they're doing in their communities, and it's just nice to know that that's happening all over. And
Right.
so it was it was good to see and just get inspired and get ideas from that.
Thank you, Tom. What's literally reverberating, I'll share some of your music in a little bit too when we close, but honestly, the music was reverberating for me. So.
I would
Wendy, yeah.
I would say that and it was great getting a reminder that I want to do more work in advocacy, and I think that really helped strengthen that resolve for me.
Thank you. Feel free to unmute too. I'm gonna share the right screen now and share some pictures with you. Oh, right off the bat, we got to see Bear, you guys that aren't from North Carolina. So I'll just keep flipping through. These don't need too much explanation, you know, the pretzel
I,
taking over the oven.
I love that shot.
Share fair. Yeah. So yes, I'm just gonna flick through, but anybody else who wants to share.
My,
And Gabrielle was pure sunshine.
Yes, they actually, I let them get away with not coming on this call tonight because I feel like Gabrielle probably worked about 5 years worth of their contract, just helping make sure that that all happened. I am curious too to what Kathy was saying about how did you describe this to anyone when you came back?
Um, I don't think I try to describe the conference as much as I just started spouting information. Like I have a friend whose mother is obviously in her last few months, if not weeks or days of life. And so we were discussing green funerals, which is something I knew nothing about. And now she is doing research on those. So it's just more as opportunity has presented itself. I've just been inserting what I think are really fascinating bits of information.
Yeah, it's interesting how to start that topic. But because we were there, we're able to share it as a story. I love this picture of it looks like somebody that King decided to lay down and sleep. She was stretching, just so everybody knows, she was stretching. Paying a lot of attention, stretching. And oh, and the snapping turtle. I don't know how many of you saw the snapping turtle. Anybody else? I would like to pass the microphone to Pastor Aaron if you feel so ready, because I feel like the reverberating message that we felt throughout that weekend, but I keep thinking of, especially because I took home some of the mustard actually. But I definitely kept thinking about how freaking amazing the mustard seed is. So if you don't mind, I will stop sharing for a bit and turn it over to you, Pastor Aaron.
Sure. So Phoebe asked me just to share kind of an overview of kind of the overall mustard theme. So I put it together in a little PowerPoint, so I'll share my screen with you guys. Just there we go. Can you guys see that?
Perfect.
yes.
There we go. Um, so this theme came about honestly after a message that I had, gosh, a couple months ago, and was thinking about mustard, and I looked into mustard a little bit more, just about the amazing properties of the mustard seed. And so I guess we could just go through that here now. Um, So in Luke 17, it says, the apostles said to the Lord, increase our faith. The Lord replied, if you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and planted in the sea, and it would obey you. So here's a picture of a mulberry tree for you, and a picture of a field of mustard. So kind of keep those two images in your mind. So here's some facts about mulberry trees. And as I share these, as we mentioned on the first day, the imagery that we kind of started off with was the mulberry trees are the big things that feel like they're planted in our way of being able to be the best we can be, that being able to multiply really what we want to do as Lutherans restoring creation. So again, things that are getting in the way of us multiplying. So here's some facts about mulberry trees. They grow very easily. They sprout and they take root. In fact, in my backyard here at my house, I have a mulberry tree, and the root has completely lifted up the brick patio that's in the backyard and is now on its way to go into the garage. So it's a very strong tree. It grows very fast and it can grow up to 50 feet tall, 50 feet wide. It's invasive throughout much of the United States. Um, it also, here in Toledo, it grows all over the place. And in fact, when I've been planting before, trees will pop up and start growing quite for a little sapling pretty quickly, even in a row of vegetables. It's even banned in some states. It has very aggressive growth. But that being said, it also has weak wood. And like I mentioned, the large root structure can damage infrastructure. But it can grow very rapidly and it's prolific with its being aided by birds carrying around the tasty mulberry seeds that are inside the berries. So it can be very deeply rooted and hard to remove. But Jesus tells us that even with faith the size of a mustard seed, we can uproot a mulberry tree and it can go into the sea. So just like mulberries, mustard is also prolific and it grows in these dense stands that can take over entire fields, like in the picture there. It thrives in like arid, sandy soil. It's very drought tolerant. It can grow very rapidly. And the math that I have here, it's based off of like a stand. I was incorrect in saying it was one single plant, but it's still very quickly. One plant can produce between like I think it's like 350 and 7,000 plant seeds. So it still can grow up very quickly. It grows so quickly that it can create wildfires, and it's a wildfire hazard, especially in the Middle East. So, knowing that, if you think about the area of one tree versus a field of mustard, mustard can overcome a mulberry tree. And I would like to think that if Jesus was standing in a field somewhere in ancient Palestine, perhaps he was looking out over a field of mustard and had a mulberry tree close to him. And the imagery was right there for his followers to see and be like, yeah, I agree. Um, in Matthew 17, Jesus said to them, because of your little faith, for truly I tell you, if you have the size of a mustard, faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. So sometimes we might feel small, but with our faith, nothing is impossible. And for us being green shepherds going out into the world, sometimes we might feel small, but with our faith, nothing is impossible. In Matthew 17, it says, Jesus also said, with what can we compare the kingdom of God, or what parable will we use it? It is like a mustard seed, much which when sown into the ground is the smallest of all the seeds of the earth. Yet when it is sown, it grows up and becomes the greatest of all shrubs and puts forth large branches so that the birds of the air can make nests in its shade. Now, we could get really technical about this because we all know mustard isn't really that big, but metaphorically speaking, if you think about the kingdom of God growing so large that then it becomes a place where all of creation can come and rest, is the imagery that Jesus is talking about. So when we sow our faith into the earth, it becomes so great that it literally becomes the kingdom of God and becomes a resting place for all of creation. And that's what I believe we all hoped and dreamed of doing, coming together, and hopefully can go out and do now. At the end of our gathering, we talked about remembering our baptism and how mustard can travel very easily when it gets wet. And the word for that, if anybody can say it, is right there on my slide. It's mu. Anyone know how to say that word?
Mucilaginous.
There we go. So it has this like gel that comes over top of it. And if you had the seed put on you, you might have been able to notice the little gel layer on the outside. And that's what helps anchor itself so that it can better move to other places. So in baptism, our faith sticks and travels with us. And so the mustard seed, again, is like the perfect seed to pick to talk about faith. And I would think that with Jesus growing up in how he did in that time, perhaps he knew these things. And so, in conclusion, while we were at the gathering, as you guys know, we got to experience mustard in many different ways. We actually had the seeds there. We also communed together with the creation and with the local um, folks that are there in Western North Carolina. And so we had blunt pretzels there for communion on Saturday night. And while we had blunt pretzels, which was a great group to support, we also had some Lusty Monk mustard. And that's the little blurb from her actual website, if you want to read that about why it's called that. But it's another reminder of why mustard might have been picked to represent our faith, because not only does it physically fill a field very quickly, but it can also, when you eat it, fill your mouth with a fiery um, strongness. And so does our faith. And so it's like a reminder of, wow, just what our faith can be like when we taste it. And so I think that we did multiply over the time we were there, just like some mustard seeds. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Aaron.
Mhm.
And I just couldn't get over too how you happen to know such great people and places in the area. Because, Aaron, how long ago had you been living there?
Gosh, yeah, at least 15, 20 years, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about reverberating, because I'm just so grateful. Oh, here comes Larry. I'm just so grateful that you were able to share such amazing um, the people stories. So not everybody got to hear the people story from our fellow board member, Alicia, but Alicia got to go there to pick up the pretzels, got to go there. She was voluntold to go there. And thankfully, she was able to wait because they were not done and he was not going to rush this job. But she got to sit there and then take in all of the information about this glorious place. And if you got to read a little bit of that blurb, but he made thousands of meals during Helene to feed his neighbors and friends there. And there are folks on this call that don't know what communion looked like. So I want to be sure to share the screen again just to quickly show off. We were able to have these, and they really were delicious. We did warm them up again. But these were the glorious pretzels that came out during communion. And just check this out. That is,
This
that
is
is a
my
big
body
pretzel.
given for you. Do this in remembrance of me.
And then we were able to also eat the mustard. I I don't know if anybody else on this call can describe the kind of heat that was in that mustard. It really took your breath away. And earlier that evening or earlier in the weekend, Pastor Aaron had mentioned how mustard was so similar to fire. And I think we all felt that. Like it was the type of heat that goes through your veins, right? So it was a very visceral experience. And being able to have communion in that way, I just thank you, Pastor Aaron, for welcoming us in this very bodily way, I think. And actually, too, I also wanted to mention, speaking of how different worship felt there together, I think it was in the middle of worship that we saw Bear going outside the window. And it was great that like everybody, including who was ever up there reading something or other, like dropped everything and went to the window to go look at the bear, the mama bear and three cubs. It felt like we were more aware of one another in a worship service than I have felt in a long time. And that felt really good. Not just aware of the weight of the world, which I think we often do and probably should feel, but I also felt the joy in the rest of the world and other beings, even though we weren't like, necessarily lying on the grass or anything, which did happen at some points. That's what I like to remember and is reverberating more so with me. But thanks to you all. And thank you to so many of you who were able to make the pivot and come join us during Multiply in April rather than in January, where we when we had decided originally to have it. But I think it was very well worth it. And as Aaron said, I do think that we will multiply. I will say that I'm not sure if as a network we are up for doing this a lot. I mean, it was a long time ago we did the last one. We don't have to wait that long. But this is not the type of thing that two part-time people are really meant to do. There is obviously a lot of great help, but you do need staff to make those kind of things happen. So I would really love your feedback as to what you liked about it, and especially what you're going to keep growing from it. Because it's great to have a get together and we can figure out different ways to get together, but knowing what the results are, and not that it needs results to be successful, but knowing what you keep taking from it might help us figure out, all right, what do we want to help happen next year or in the next couple of years? We are, just as far as what else could be multiplying from this, we're talking with our friends that work with the larger ecumenical group of Creation Justice Ministries and wondering with them, hey, Creation Justice Ministries is a large ecumenical group and they have full-time staff. Maybe let's work with them a little bit more often and see if we can have a gathering with other groups of other eco-faith groups and maybe go off in a corner and hang out as Lutherans, for a minute, but really be able to leverage assets, but also be able to see one another, which is interesting too. And I'd love feedback. I heard from some people that said they wouldn't have had the same experience if it was any more than 50 people. It was a small group, and sometimes when you report to donors, that doesn't sound great, but ultimately I know that people speak and feel differently when it's a small group of people. So I'd love any feedback now or later about your feelings about that. And also curious too, if you can imagine taking not just the information you learned there, but any of the the small group setup, the actual way we did things, and might want to share that when you go back to a church setting or any kind of group setting. I'm certainly going to make available the small group kind of breakout sessions if you'd like those kind of journal-esque things that we did. I have to again thank Gabrielle for putting together. I think some of you saw it, but I'll make sure to forward it to everybody as a follow-up. But the beautiful graphics that went along with the idea of multiplying and going from just a twig to a large blooming fruiting plant. But that is kind of what we're looking toward as far as, what would you like to grow from this? So with that being said, I would like to have us break out into groups, and this is not a quiz as to what happened, where, when. What I am asking of you is to do a little a little conversation. I'm going to copy this. First off, I'm not going to assume that everybody is really good at accessing Google Docs. So I'm going to do a little practice and see if you can open up this document, and then we'll all see each other's little blobby things show up on the top right-hand corner as you open this document. And then please let me know if you're having a hard time opening it. But you click it. If you're not a typical Google user, it might ask you a couple other questions, but usually it should just be able to open up. And I'm asking you all to do this so you can see stuff, but also make sure that your information is actually going somewhere. So that when you are in a small group in a few minutes, that you will also be able to, there we go, Kathy's writing in there. This is your testing phase here. So if you want to try this out, and I see people are getting it in there, make sure you have your name in there so we know who's thinking what. And the first question is pretty easy. Well, it might be a really deep thought that you have to think out with a therapist later, but what kind of plant do you want to emulate? Just for today, what kind of plant would you like to be? So that's your test question. And it looks like at least a few of you, I want to be sure that I see enough of you so that when you go into breakouts, I know you'll be able to help each other.
Phoebe,
Okay.
I don't see anything.
Oh, okay. Here we go. It's going to be, if you click on in the chat, I added a link, docs.google. When you click that, Wendy, does it open up for you?
It should.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
And that's where yeah, I wasn't sharing screen so I could keep seeing you all. But I do see that I love all the random animals that pop up. So I'm going to pause, but I'm glad that everybody at least started talking, and hopefully it's okay that I hit record again. If you wanted to say something and don't want to be recorded, I can hit pause. Welcome, Bowdens. Glad you could join us.
Thank you.
Good to see you. So in general, what I'd love to know is, especially just selfishly, for Lutherans Restoring Creation, do you feel like, are you excited at the notion that church, whether it's you and your congregation and or big church, do you get the feeling that there's a role for us to play in the bigger picture? I see some nods.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. I feel like a lot of us might feel lost listening to world news and that sort of thing. And yes, there are some big things that we cannot handle, and God is in charge. And yet we do God's work our hands as well. So I would hope that you all would keep this Google Doc up. And if you can keep thinking of things and writing things, we are a network, a very much grassroots group of folks who are trying to help one another along. So that's what Multiply was all about, but we want to keep going with that. And we do have a great board of directors who were really instrumental in making sure Multiply happened. But as you can see just on this screen, we had also lots of amazing other volunteers that are not on our board. So it really takes all of us. And with that too, I want to mention that in next month's May 19th, I believe is our next Connections call. We really loved the feeling of the Share Fair, and we kind of wanted to see if we could replicate that on a Zoom call at all. A handful of you on this call were there in the room sharing what you've done, whether it's a huge, big project like the Bowdens doing recycling of styrofoam for many years now, or if it's just, oh, I'm thinking about doing a pollinator garden, or I tried a vacation Bible school and it was this different. We would love to be able to just lift that up and kind of go around the room with that. Also, though, I wanted to lift up that Tom and Amelia, and especially their friend Sarah at Thistle and Moss. Am I getting that right? Moss and Thistle Farms. They shared an incredible resource with us, and I listed some of those materials, but Tom and Amelia, I don't know if you all also ever do this online or know of other places. There's no really replacing the conversation that you all had, and I do hope that you did a train the trainer and we'll keep going, but Do you have suggestions as to how to share more green burial information in a more authentic way? There we go. Okay. Unmute. Say more.
Yeah, we're actually in the process right now of doing a green burial field guide book with Sarah with a grant from Innovation Labs. And so that'll be available later in the year. And for now, if anybody wants to contact us, we have a little sheet that we handed out at the thing at the gathering in North Carolina. We can be happy to share that.
They can call me.
Yeah.
You're very welcome to call me.
Yeah.
Kathy, wherever you are on the screen. Oh, there you are. You're very welcome to share our information with your friends. And we'll get this out to everybody. I'll send it to Phoebe and she can put that out there because that gives you websites and how to connect. Now, some of this stuff is in North Carolina region, but it's internationally practiced. So this can give you some ideas on how to connect what word to Google, that sort of thing. But mostly you can just contact any of us and we can be happy to guide you certain ways too. Yeah. So we'll get that over to you guys and
That's perfect.
cross-pollinate.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I have a question, if I could, real quick.
Yeah, Kathy.
Do we have permission, Amelia, to copy that? We're heading to Senate Assembly this weekend and would love to just copy it and take it along.
Sure.
Yes, absolutely.
I came home with one copy.
But if you send me the PDF, we can
Mhm.
send that, and then you can make nice, clean copies. Is that
Mhm.
as your
I'd
information?
like to do the same thing,
Absolutely.
but I need a clean copy because I can't copy off the green.
Right.
Oh,
right.
good idea. Yeah.
That
good.
was not intentional, but I just like the green. We call it the green sheet, you know.
Right.
But absolutely, we'll get that to you
Perfect.
Thank you.
tonight, and you can, yes, just spread it out. I leave them in the grocery store, laying around, you know, whatever, just to help. Yeah.
And in the spirit of sharing more resources too, I see Lisa would like to speak about Covenant for Our Future. Go ahead, Lisa. Are you still there, Lisa?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I even finished my dinner, so now I can come on camera.
Oh.
So I wanted to mention Covenant for Our Future for those who have not heard about it. So Covenant for Our Future is a national campaign that is being organized by several different organizations. The one you may have heard of that's in the environmental space is Green Faith, which is an interfaith climate organization. And the goal of the campaign is broadly to, I guess you could say, bring back justice in the US. So their goals are around feeding the hungry, providing health care, addressing climate change, giving dignity to migrants. You know, it's basically an entire moral vision for how this country should work. And they are trying to get more people to join. Today is actually the official kickoff day today. So I have links for people to sign as organizations or to sign as individuals. And I can send Phoebe, I think I sent you the email from Green Faith that describes the campaign, if you'd be willing to share that with people. It has the links. I can tell you, I contacted my bishop and she has signed on. So I would encourage you to contact your bishops and to see if they will sign on. And if you aren't comfortable contacting your bishop, talk to your pastor because you can sign as a congregation. But I think it's really important that all people of all faiths come together to right the ship that is the United States from a moral perspective. And that's what this is about. So I really encourage everyone very much to please do that. And if Phoebe would be willing to share the stuff I sent her, I encourage everyone
I
to
have
get signed on.
The link to and where you can join the coalition is right there under Covenant for Our Future. But like Lisa said, to have it be an organization that also signs on, I will make sure to forward that.
Yeah, there's two separate links. I'll put them in the chat. But
thank you.
If you could send out the info from the email, that really helps explain what it is.
Right. With the
It takes
intro.
more than 2 minutes in this call. But that's really what it's about. It's about trying to address all these moral issues that people of all faiths are concerned about. So let's get everyone together in this effort to turn the ship around. So
I think that's that would also fall under the umbrella of what the World Council of Churches is trying to do in the decade of climate justice, and essentially saying we're going to do it as Americans. It sounds like that's kind of under the umbrella of what we've already. I did just recently hear that our the Council of Bishops, no, the Church Council has said they would like to support the World Council of Churches Decade in Climate Justice, which is great. But now we still need to be asking our synods to say, yes, yes, we can. The more synods, the more congregations that then push their synods to say yes in supporting the Decade in Climate Justice, the more our church will invest in, the more our church will do things differently. So all of this is related. But if you're looking particularly as well to see if you're still in the process of figuring out what you're going to bring and what messages you have to bring to synod assemblies, being able to lift up the World Council of Churches is one thing that might get people's attention that are in the church speak world. I think this type of movement, Lisa, correct me if you think if you see this differently, but I think this is where the rest of the world can see Lutherans, right? Like this Covenant for a Future is kind of the other side of that mirror. That
this is the public facing Lutheran church, right? That's why I personally, if I had the wherewithal, I would be contacting the presiding bishop and asking him to sign on behalf of the ELCA. That's how important I think it is. But I agree with you. I mean, I've submitted the resolution for my synod, right? So I think internally, the resolution is what we want to do as the ELCA. But externally facing, we should be at the table for the Covenant for our Future.
Thank you.
So anyway, thank you.
And looking forward to next month coming together. I would really love to have that share fair feel. So as many of you that can come together, Sister Phyllis, I hope that maybe you can come to that one too and share your seed ball thing. If not, maybe I'll get some information from you. But again, any little or big thing that you want to share with the rest of us, your best practices, just be thinking on that. And if you know of someone that you think should share what they do, please invite them. You'll see, I think everybody's here because you get the Good Green News. So you'll get the specific registration invite if you haven't already. Any other feedback before we close with Tom and Amelia? You're up to bat, but you don't have to do anything because I'm sharing your latest YouTube, if that's okay.
I just wanted to let Pastor Aaron know that at the gathering he made this our last worship service. He made the sign of the cross with the mustard seeds on us, and they really do stick the way he was saying. It's kind of like the way chia seeds get that little sticky stuff on them, and I just wanted to let him know that I'm still picking mustard seeds out of my eyebrows, so they're traveling.
Going to start growing. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you again so much, everybody. And I really look forward. Oh, go ahead, Tim. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say one magic bullet too, I think that I heard was at our Synod Assembly, one church telling about their 5-year experience toward getting solar panels, and just going through the details, someone telling what we went through, and now they have it. And that they're saving, they had monthly utilities at $800 a month, and now they're at $100 a month. Yeah. So anyway, when one congregation is telling other congregations about it, that's just delightful.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Multiplying. Thanks, Tim.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You do see Tom and Amelia in the grass here now, right? I hope.
Yes.
Okay. You were going to close us out with song. And are these strawberries I see here? What are those?
Wild strawberries.
Nice.
And grass that needs to be cut.
No, it's no mow-may.
Yeah. You see there's a 4-leaf clover there at the very front.
No way. Look at that.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That's AI. No.
No. Yeah.
Thank you, Al.
Love thy neighbor, love the earth. We have been called that we must awaken, return our souls their worth. Tune into the season's rhythm, the song of the earth ringing loud and true. A river divine flows through creation and calls from inside you. The world needs you, the world needs me. Hand in hand we got the power of we. The world gives love, the world gives care, the very things we're called to share. Awake my soul to hope and commitment, sacred places fresh and new, to all that is good, just as created, oceans and skies so blue. We are stewards, we are creation, love empowers what we do. The curve of oneness bends toward justice, solutions pouring through. The world needs you, the world needs me. Hand in hand we got the power of we. The world gives love, the world gives care, the very things we're called to share. Nature heals as people start healing. World made stable, life renewed. Blessed tomorrow, ripe for the taking. It's clear what we must do. Nothing small is courageous action. Take a step, face shining through. We're the mustard seed that moves the mountain. Together, it's still true. The world needs you, the world needs me. Hand in hand we got the power of we. The world gives love, the world gives care, the very things we're called to share. The world needs you, the world needs me. Hand in hand we got the power of we. The world gives love, the world gives care, the very things we're called to share. Yeah, the very things we're called to share.
I love the outtakes at the end. Amen. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Take care.
Bye.
Good
God
night.
bless. Good night, everyone.
Bye.